I don't think I currently have a favorite musical artist. There's a lot of musicians and bands that I like, but I don't think I have a definitive favorite right now. And no, AJR is not my favorite. Maybe if all the material was similar to what they did in the Click, they might be my favorite, but alas. I think the closest I currently have to a favorite artist at the moment is either Dua Lipa or Arizona. But at one point, I did have favorite artists. For some time in the mid-2010s, Years and Years was my favorite artist. Although I kind of lost interest in the new music, and even though they released a new album this year, I haven't even listened to a single song from it yet. When I was even younger, my favorite artist was Avril Lavigne. Avril Lavigne was my favorite artist around 2007 or 8 to probably 2011 or 2012. The first song I ever heard from her was Girlfriend, and it wasn't long until I began hearing the rest of her music, and immediately began loving it. With the exception of B-sides and bonus tracks, I'm fairly certain I'd heard her entire discography up to the Best Damn Thing by the time the 2000s ended. While I was still a kid at the time and didn't have any grasp on artistic standards and only liked her music because I thought it was catchy, I can definitely say that Avril Lavigne's music definitely did leave a mark on me that still persists over a decade later. I actually own 3 of her albums on CD to this day. But around the beginning of the 2010s, my love for Avril Lavigne began to fade. I didn't begin hating her music or anything around that point, but like a lot of my other special interests, my adoration for Avril Lavigne came and went. As a person with Asperger's syndrome, I've had a lot of special interests at various points in my life. It also didn't help that Avril Lavigne ended up taking a recording hiatus after 2014 due to fighting Lyme disease, and while she thankfully survived the illness, it was clear that her popularity was nowhere near what it was in the 2000s anymore. Her 2019 album, Head Above Water, didn't really leave much of a splash, either with pop listeners or with critics. But now, Avril Lavigne is backing up with her 7th studio album, Love Sucks. And I gotta say, I don't think there was any better time for Avril Lavigne to try and make a comeback than right now. She's well known for being a pop-punk artist, and, well, pop-punk has been having a bit of a resurgence lately. Thanks to artists like Machine Gun Kelly, Black Bear, Youngblood, and Gale, the latter of whom happens to have a song at number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 as I'm making this video, pop-punk is starting to have a bit of a second wind now. Even All Time Low had a minor comeback last year with their song Monsters. So it makes total sense why Avril Lavigne would want to make a comeback with the brand of pop-punk that she's known for. And well, after signing to Travis Barker's DTA Records, it seems that she's definitely ready to jump aboard the pop-punk revival and grace pop listeners' ears once again. Now right away, the first big plus this album has is the fact that Avril Lavigne didn't try to water down her sound to fit more in line with 2022. Most of the songs on this album sound just like a song that you would hear with The Best Damn Thing. She could have toned down the electric guitars so that it wouldn't put off any modern pop listeners who aren't familiar with late 90s and 2000s pop-punk and thus be a little more accessible to today's market, but she didn't. In fact, the very first song on the album, Cannonball, seems to be doing the exact opposite. A heavier song that still has a singable pop chorus. And yeah, Cannonball is definitely up there with Losing Grip as one of Avril's heaviest songs. And for an album where the central theme seems to be relationships where a partner took advantage of her anger is definitely warranted. Of course, Love Sucks still has its handful of catchy, poppier songs. Songs like Bite Me, Boys Lie, and the title track were definitely the more marketable songs on the album due to the more popular melodies, and it's no wonder that the former was chosen as the lead single from the album. Going back to Cannonball, the intro and pre-chorus remind me a lot of a commentary that I've heard from Avril's music. Her rapping. Well, actually, I'm not sure if I can call it rapping, it's more like her chanting without any melody. Whether it was the bridge of Girlfriend, the intro of I Don't Have to Try, the post-chorus of Hello Kitty, or the chorus of Dumb Blonde, this kind of rapping, all of the bridge of Taylor Swift's Shake It Off, is something I definitely heard across a lot of her music before. I will say that Cannonball is my least favorite song on the album due to it being the least singable, and something about the way the verse sounds doesn't really sit right with me. I get the song was meant to give the listener the impression of a detonating bomb, but the minor chords and the way Avril Lavigne sounds just kind of rubs me the wrong way. But thankfully, the rest of the album is up from there. Another common Avril Lavigne trope this album has is songs about relationships. And while she's not known for mostly singing about relationships like Taylor Swift, every song on this album, to one extent or another, is about a relationship. Many of them being spiteful post-breakup songs, although there are a few exceptions, such as Kiss Me Like the World Is Ending, a song about being in love with someone and not wanting to say goodbye to them, or both of the slower songs on this album, Avalanche and Dare to Love Me. The former being about covering up feeling broken on the inside, and the latter about being scared to love someone else after a breakup. Dare to Love Me also serves as the only ballad on the album, and while you could argue it sticks out like a sore thumb compared to the rest of the album being more upbeat and punk raging, I'm glad this album has at least one ballad. The Best Damn Thing managed to have only one ballad in the pool of upbeat pop-punk songs with Innocence. Although I am glad there's only one ballad on here, especially coming after Head Above Water, a very ballad-heavy album. Another thing I will say about the songwriting is that it can come off as a little juvenile, for the lack of a better word. A lot of the songs on here do feel like they're written from the perspective of a high schooler, and do feel a little bratty. This was a problem some people had with The Best Damn Thing, which is the album some Avril critics say she began to sell out. And she's continued to pick these kind of bratty sounding breakup songs since, whether it was What the Hell, or the aforementioned Hello Kitty or Dumb Blonde. And on this album, you got her referencing playing Spin the Bottle and Truth or Dare on Kiss Me Like the World Is Ending, and sounding petty on a few of the breakup songs, particularly the title track and Deja Vu. That being said, I will say that Avril Lavigne does pull off this persona well. If you could look past the fact that it's a 37-year-old woman singing these lyrics, I'd be lying if I said that she can't definitely sell the bratty girl singing about favorite relationships character she's going for pretty damn fluidly. One thing that I think makes this album stand out a little bit more from the rest of her discography are the features. This is so far the Avril Lavigne album with the biggest number of features on it, 3. And Avril Lavigne isn't known for having a lot of features on her music. As far as I can tell, she's only ever had 3 songs with her features and herself as the lead artist before this album. The remix of Girlfriend featuring Lil Mama, Let Me Go featuring her then husband Chad Kroeger of Nickelback, and Dumb Blonde with Nicki Minaj. So, this album contains half all the features she's ever done with herself as a lead artist. Remember how I said before that pop punk has been having a resurgence thanks to artists like Machine Gun Kelly and Black Bear? Well, both those guys have features on this album. On the second track, Boys Lie, MGK fires back at Avril saying that boys lie by insisting that girls lie too. And on the second single from the album, Love It When You Hate Me, Black Bear gets a passive-aggressive performance on the second verse talking about having a love-hate relationship with his partner. Both of their appearances on here were clearly made to draw name recognition for this album, and while I might be tempted to say that this is just a corporate decision to make more modern pop fans listen to this album, MGK and Black Bear's music is right up Avril's alley, and her collaborating both of them actually makes perfect sense. Of course, I don't see these collaborations as giving Avril Lavigne a super successful music comeback like the Jonas Brothers had in 2019 with Sucker. In my opinion, though, the best feature and best song on the album comes from Blink-182 co-frontman Mark Hoppus on All I Wanted. He serves as a great opposite to Avril, especially when they sing together in the chorus. They really work well together, which is very poetic for a song about how they were with the wrong person all along and all they really needed was each other. Add in an upbeat, catchy melody and a guitar line that's not too heavy but also not too soft, and you got the album's highest point in my opinion. Avril Lavigne has cited Blink-182 as one of her musical inspirations, and thus, it's a dream come true for her that she got to work with not just one, but 2 members of Blink-182 on this album. The aforementioned Travis Barker produced or co-produced all but 4 songs on the album. Another notable name on this album's production credits is Mod Sun, Avril Lavigne's current boyfriend and another artist to partake in the recent pop-punk revival. He co-produced all but 1 song and co-wrote all but 3 songs on the album. He and Avril actually collaborated just last year on his song Flames. Honestly, that song could have fit on Love Sucks. I would have liked to see it on the album. And maybe another song or two was what this album needed, because this album is pretty short. Only 3 of the album's 12 songs are longer than 3 minutes, and the final song, Break of a Heartache, doesn't even clock in at 2 minutes. Altogether, the album is just over an hour and a half long, and while there's nothing necessarily wrong with a shorter album, it's over relatively quickly if it's not your cup of tea, I do think this album could have benefited from either a couple more songs added to the track list, or possibly a little more added to the songs that were already here. I especially feel the way about Break of a Heartache, which I feel like ends way too quickly. It could have easily had a bridge or a third verse before the final chorus. And honestly, I think that's the album's biggest problem. It wasn't indeed nice to hear Avril Lavigne return to pop punk, but I think there could have been a little more added to really make the experience worth the while. I'm sure early Avril Lavigne fans might be disappointed that Avril Lavigne didn't return to her skate punk image that she had from her first album, Let Go. And while I certainly wasn't expecting that to come back for this album, maybe at least one song that here could have been a nice little nod to those who've been fans of her from the beginning. Altogether, as someone who's been an Avril Lavigne fan since around 2007, I think a little more added to the album in terms of content could have really made the album even better. Of course, that's not to say the album is bad at all, because it isn't. It's definitely not her best album, but it's still good. It was definitely nice to hear new Avril Lavigne music again and a return to pop punk. It's a nice little breath of fresh air after Head Above Water, which is a very slow, ballad-heavy album. Avril Lavigne fans will definitely enjoy Love Sucks. If you're into the recent pop punk revival or like pop punk music in general, I'd also recommend giving it a listen. I'd probably rate this album a 7 out of 10. But what do you think of this album? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Are you a fan of Avril Lavigne or pop punk music in general? Let me know in the comments. Love may suck, but Avril Lavigne sure doesn't.